we've been able to work on gowns and be able to completely rework gowns and make it look like they've not been touched at all. Before your alterations is the perfect time to do your wedge shred or do whatever you want to do. And we can always fit down to whatever size we choose. I don't want to sound cheesy in a way, but I just love seeing the photos. Like, it warms your heart to know that you've played such a role in their big day like that.
From fitting room to aisle, your first alterations appointment. Today, Mark and I are going to be chatting about that first alterations appointment. It's a great unknown for many brides, but we're going to chat through every single step so that you, the bride, will know exactly what to expect when you come to Bluebell Bridal for the first time after your dream dress arrives. You've waited months for your gown to arrive, and today's the day. And our brides come in and they get introduced to you, Mark.
Yes.
Yeah, our alteration specialist extraordinaire. And take us through the steps at that very first bridal appointment.
Yeah, so when the brides come in, they're a bit excited, a bit anxious, a little bit panicky, thinking, is it the dress I ordered? Is it going to fit? All that sort of thing. Am I going to like it still? Yeah. So when we go into our alterations consult, we basically welcome them into one of our fitting rooms and we let them try the dress on. And that's the main thing that sort of takes away all that fear and all that anxiety, is just physically getting into the dress for the bride.
Yeah, absolutely.
And seeing what we have to work with. So yeah, we get the bride into the dress, and that's when you have that sort of sigh of relief, I guess, is because they try it on, they know it's the dress that they ordered, it's the dress that they're loving, and they're expecting it to not fit because we have taken them through that process before they ordered it.
Absolutely. Because it's a made-to-order gown, and they know it's not going to fit perfectly.
Yeah.
And also, before they even get introduced to their gown, it's gone through our QC or quality control process that's pretty forensic to make sure that it is exactly the gown that they ordered.
Yeah.
In my experience observing you, most cases the gowns tend to be a bit big.
Yeah.
So a bride is standing on the podium in her gown. Let's just say she's getting married in 12 weeks' time.
Yeah.
Okay, so she's standing in her gown. What do you do? How do you work it with them?
Yeah. So we basically, the great thing is we have a nice sort of, I guess, statements that we say to them, which is we'll just be going through top to bottom what we would recommend as the alteration expert to be done to your gown, and we get them their personalised quote, which is all inclusive of the alterations that we'll discuss with them.
Yeah, and all of the additional appointments as well are
and
included.
All the additional appointments, yes, that's included. And that's what we do. We basically go from head to toe what we would do as alteration experts to make the gown fit them perfectly. Yeah. And I think in just doing that, how we sort of confidently go through the gown with them, and we explain it to them in terms that people who haven't been sewing their whole lives would understand. But
know when something isn't fitting right and isn't feeling right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we just go through that, and I always open the floor to any questions as well. I find that being able to ask questions of the expert that's doing things to your dress, something that's so cherished, it's a really freeing experience, and it helps build that trust to have that, to be able to just ask any question, no matter how silly you think it is or how complex you think it is. Being able to ask the question of the person working on your gown is really great. So that happens as well. We go through top to bottom, ask questions, get the quote, and then we go ahead and start pinning the gown.
Right.
And
so when they get their quote, if they go, yep, I'm happy to play.
Yeah.
Then we start the process.
Yeah.
And of course, and it does happen. Of course, people have aunts, friends, and they know other people that are great alteration specialists. Yeah. Because we guarantee our work here with the alterations, but I always say we are fantastic, but that doesn't mean there aren't other great people. So if in the instance they say, okay, that's fantastic, I am comparing quotes, I will take this gown now to another place and I'll let you know. Yeah. We can then not pin the gown and then send them home, and then they can come back if they want. Yeah. 95% of people have their gowns altered here. And I think that that's a real homage to your expertise, particularly working with the collection of gowns that we've got.
Thank you. Yeah, I like to think that it is, our expertise as well, working with the gowns we have here as well as external gowns from other sellers or other bride boutiques that we work with, is that we've been able to work on gowns and be able to completely rework gowns and make it look like they've not been touched at all.
Absolutely.
The fitting that comes
with
it.
You do amazing
Thank
work.
you.
Amazing work.
Thank you. And I like to think it really shows in the brides that we have.
Yeah.
You know, the thousands of brides that we've now worked on. It really shows in all their final photos. It's always nice seeing them pop up in the email that they've sent their photos to us, and we get to see the work that we've done.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a bride. What should I bring to my first fitting?
Yeah. Well, there's just about 3 things that you should probably bring to your fitting.
Yeah.
The main one is the shoes that you're planning to wear with your gown.
Yes.
And I know sometimes they may get a bit waylaid with postage, or you might not have just found the right shade of ivory yet, but that is an important one.
We hear that a lot,
yeah,
don't we?
You'd be surprised how hard it is to find the right shade of ivory in a shoe.
Yeah.
The second thing is,
what's the maximum number? We had one lady come in and she had...
I had 5 once.
5.
That was fun. Yeah. And, you know, you've got to find the right pointed toe. You've got to find whether you want a sling back or a closed in heel. You've got to find the right heel height. And then it's just the shade, because all these gowns here are technically ivory. Yes. So when you're trying to find an ivory shoe.
A version of white, silk white, natural white, off-white.
Yeah. And a lot of shoemakers, they either go white or they go creamy ivory. They don't do like
it's almost like a buttery colour, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a very buttery yellow. So you've got to try and find that like in between shoe colour.
Yeah.
So that's been a hard one. Or it's just people ordering online. I think you order it with enough time, but then things happen and shipping gets delayed as it does, and then you just don't have your shoes for the day.
Yeah.
And they're a week later than they should be.
Okay, so that's an interesting thought, because we do see a lot of brides coming in. They're excited and they're like, shoes haven't arrived yet. Does that matter? Does it matter?
No, it doesn't really matter too much for that initial consult, because what we can do, we usually like to run our alteration process for about 2 months, with the idea of having the gown finished about 2 weeks before the wedding, because your body doesn't change in 2 weeks, one hopes.
Yep.
So within that 2 months, we can schedule the appointments out to when the shoes are going to arrive.
Yes.
And we may need an extra fitting just to make sure the hem's sitting nicely once we've pinned it, but we can definitely allow for that.
Yeah.
It just means that we need the shoes sort of as soon as possible.
Yes.
We just can't, drag out pinning their hem till the very last consult 2 weeks before your wedding.
No, because I'd imagine that depending on the height and how your body shifts in a certain shoe, do you also need to consider the shoe in a sense of, does it have beading and embellishment? And if the skirt is tulle, are the shoes going to grab on the skirt as well? Do you ask that question of your bride? Say, well, you've got a tulle skirt, or you've got a skirt that's embellished.
Yeah.
And could catch if you had beads or some sort of embellishment on the shoe.
Yeah, and we've had sometimes a last-minute shoe change because of that, because we've had a very embellished shoe and the tulle skirt's been catching on the shoe, so we've had to end up going for a shoe that didn't have an embellishment, just so that it wouldn't end up catching. Or we've had brides that have just stuck to the shoe and gone, I'll just be careful. Whereas it depends on how you want to go about it. Some people just will do it for the sake of fashion.
Yes.
And other people will go, no, I want to be practical on the day. I don't want to have something that I'll trip on or have to be mindful of on the day. So I'll switch to a more practical shoe, and I'll be fine with that.
Yeah. Staying on the shoe thing before we go back to your other point.
Yeah.
Floor length gown.
Yeah.
The bride is choosing to wear the same gown for the entire night. She starts in a heel.
Yeah.
What if when it becomes time for the party and the reception, heels go off, a sneaker goes on? How is that going to impact the length of her gown in terms of wearability and danceability?
Well, we find that we always do the hem to the ceremony length. And that's whatever shoe you're going to be wearing in the ceremony, because that's what you'll wear in your photos.
Yes.
Because if you're wearing, say, a sneaker later and that ends up, we hem it to the sneaker, if you go to your ceremony, the hem's going to be about that.
You got an ankle freezer.
Yeah,
yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we always do it to ceremony length. So we find brides just do it for the sake of fashion, you know what I mean? They'll switch to their sneaker later for comfort, and they'll just deal with the fact that their skirt's a bit too long.
Okay. Well, they're twirling around, I suppose.
That's it. When you're dancing, you don't worry.
Yeah, because we've never had anybody come back to us and say, well, I changed to a sneaker, which we've seen in the photos, and it caused a problem for me.
A lot of the times the skirt will be bustled in the back, so all of the train's been taken off, so it's a bit easier to walk in.
Yes.
Or they'll have a wrist loop and they'll hold the gown up on the wrist loop, and that takes a bit of length off the front as well if you're holding it
very
up high
good.
enough.
Yes.
So I think brides are resourceful. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, a few tricks. So you got to help.
You're working out on the day.
It's like woo.
Yeah.
Okay. So second tip. So shoes were number one. What would be your second?
Undergarments is a big one. So especially with gowns that are tighter fitted, a lot of our satin bias cut gowns and the slip gowns, you need to have the right underwear underneath, just so nothing shows through. You've got a smooth line running through, and that can often be the hardest part about the bridal gown journey, is finding the right underwear to wear underneath your gown that doesn't show through, because you'll find some have a heavy elastic along the bottom and the top of them, and that can show through. We even had one that had a textured side panel that ran down the side of each hip.
Yeah, genius. Huh?
Yeah, that's it. And I'm not sure why they did that, but as soon as our bride put them on, it showed the texturing coming through the fabric.
Yes.
So, the right undergarments.
I remember we have had one bride, and I kid you not, she must have bought 20 different pairs before she got the right one.
Yeah.
So we must do a bit more research on the correct undergarments. If somebody's wearing one of the A-line gowns, it's not such a big deal. But you're right, when it comes into that beautiful soft fabric and that sheath, finding the right undergarment, seamless undergarments don't necessarily do it. So it almost feels like it's a research that needs to start quite early for the bride to find that, because the last thing they want is to be in alterations and it's nearing their wedding day and they're still not happy with the show through of what's coming of the undies that they're wearing.
That's it. And it can be sometimes a hard thing to do, because you only really find out an underwear doesn't work once you're in the dress and you're here trying it on. So that means you have to purchase it with the intent to return it if it doesn't work, and then try it on here, see if it works or not, and then you have to go return it, try something else, bring those back in with the intent on sending them back if you don't, if they don't work.
It's quite a procedure, isn't it?
Yeah, it's quite a procedure, and
that's right. And I mean, also for Bluebell here, for our brides, if midway through the process before their gowns actually arrive, they've got some undergarments or even shoes, we always welcome them. Just knock at our door, come in and do that comparison. There might be a slight colour variation between the salon sample, which has been cleaned and hanging for a while, versus a brand new garment. But it's indistinguishable. It's not really going to show, particularly when it comes to, say, a shoe colour. But it certainly works with the undergarments as well.
Yeah, definitely. Because that's one of the things that you really, I want to say you want to get it right, because it's one of the things that like we notice as like in photos and things. It's something a bride will really notice. I think people on the day will sort of be a bit more forgiving if your underwear shows through. But say if there's a line along your thigh from your shapewear coming through, a bride will really beat herself up over that if she sees it.
Yeah, and that's where the fitting process is so important. And you'd know so much about the various brands and styles of undergarments. So
there's too many, honestly. There's always something new coming up, and there's always a new style, shade design that's come out from a new company. So there's too many to keep track of.
That's right. And there are some that fit beautifully and nicely against the body, and then there are some that fit and getting them on and getting them off.
I remember you going through one. It was like going through hard times trying to get them on and off.
Well, I got it on.
Got stuck.
I got it on. I was at home just trialing it. I got it on, and I was like,
"I'm coming off again."
How am I? No one was at home. I thought, how am I going to get this thing off? And it was almost like, okay, I'm going to have to call an ambulance to get me out of this. But there was a moment that I actually did get a bit sweaty. I was like,
and you got the right size as well for you.
I did. I did.
Which is interesting.
I actually went up a size just to accommodate for the fact that this is suction cup. So I suppose the takeaway from that is to experiment and test, because you also don't want something that looks great in a dress, but you're experiencing your wedding for 7 or 8 hours, and the last thing you want is to be wearing uncomfortable underwear. It is the worst. That and uncomfortable shoes, absolute worst, and you want to feel brilliant. So in terms of the third thing to bring to the appointment, what would that be?
So the third is open mind.
Yeah.
An open mind. So you've got your shoes, you've got your underwear, and then, open mind, knowing like how we prepared you for the whole time that you've been with us is the idea this gown's not going to fit. It needs alterations to make it perfect. And that's what we're here today to sort out. So it's the idea of not panicking when you step on the podium and you see that things aren't right or aren't sitting right, or even once it's been pinned, knowing that once the work's done, if it's not 100% next time, we can refine it further.
Yeah.
So I've seen some brides get a little bit sort of antsy still once it's been pinned, just because they can't see it yet.
Yeah.
But I always say to them, this is just stage 1. And once we get to stage 2, there's always stage 3 after that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's a journey, and it's not a one and done type of scenario.
Yeah.
We are here committed until the very end once it's perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's important, as you say, committed to it's perfect. So it's not the number of appointments, because you will work with the bride until it is perfect.
Yeah.
And it depends. It's a person by person proposition as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's perfect for one person is not for another.
Yeah.
And it's working through those various appointments spread out over that time frame in the lead up to the wedding to make sure that it's perfect.
Yeah, it is, because everyone's dress is different, everyone's fitting's different, everyone's shape is different.
Yes.
And the circumstances are different. So we have to, that's what we do here, is sort of working with all those different factors to make sure that our bride has the smoothest journey as possible and comes out the end with a perfect fitting gown to her shape and to her wants and her needs.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to hit you with a curveball.
Oh,
I'm getting married. I'm getting married and I'm trying on my dress. I want to look my best. Yeah. And I say to you, I'd like to lose a few kilos in the lead up to the wedding.
Yeah.
How does that impact the alterations process? If somebody tells you that at the start, that they want to lose up, pick a figure, say they want to lose 3 to 5 kilos in time for their wedding day, how do you work that with your bride?
Well, I always say, please don't.
They're perfect the way they are.
Yeah, that's it. They're perfect the way they are. But a lot of the times I do try to say to them, if you're going to lose weight, because honestly, they'll be up front. Even in the styling, they'll be up front and say, look, I'm planning to lose X amount of weight before I come back from my bridal fitting. And I say to them, great, before your alterations is the perfect time to do your wedge shred or do whatever you want to do. And we can always fit down to whatever size we choose. Yes. So we can always do that. And when she's standing there on the day, she's doing her dress for the first fitting, or she's wearing her dress for the first fitting, and we're talking about it, she says, I still want to lose a little bit extra. Yes. We can always pin to what's there on the day and even put in maybe an extra fitting if we need to, just to make sure, and go a bit closer to the wedding if we have to. Yeah. But at the end of the day, like you've probably seen in your experience, a bride is a very determined person. Yes. And if she wants to lose that weight, she'll lose that weight.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we can't fight nature.
No.
We can't fight the will of a bride who wants to lose that weight. Yeah. So we just go a bit closer to the wedding to make sure that her body won't change in maybe, say, the week before. Yeah. And we plan for it.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
We follow her through. It's a collaborative journey. We don't stand there and say to her, no, you can't lose weight, because if you tell someone no, they can't do something, that makes them even more determined to do it.
Well, that's right. And where are we and who are we to tell somebody? Because it's always about how we as individuals and we as people want to be our best and look our best. So first appointment, I'm telling you, hey, I'm going to lose some weight. Do you factor that in, and like you say, you communicate, and then you go, okay, what if it was a very corseted piece that would be impacted by weight loss? Do you leave that work till last? Or do you factor that in, and then when you're altering the gown, let's say it's a corseted bodice and an A-line skirt, as you're altering and making the appointments and seeing your bride towards that final fitting, do you allow for that?
Well, it's almost like a doctor. We almost take a full history and we ask the questions, which I feel like the brides appreciate. We just say to them, like, we ask them sort of how the journey's been so far in terms of how much have they lost so far. Are they someone who's going to lose this X amount? What's the word? Are they going to lose this amount in certain places, I guess, or like just those vague questions just to ask how their weight loss journey will be. And then we can either factor it into the fitting where we might, if they know, and we can factor that into their fitting in terms of making things a little bit snug in certain areas, or because we know a lot of women might lose weight in their bust, or they might lose weight in their hips or their waist.
And there's a monthly cycle that we have to consider.
Bloating as well.
Yep. Some people bloat, some people don't. And that's why I think it's important we start the process about 10 weeks ahead. So we see them through a variety of cycles, dare I say it, so that we can know that their dress is going to be perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And that's why we sort of take that history in a way where it's like, do you, like, how well do you know your changes in a way, to be like, do you think you're going to lose weight this way? Do you think you're going to lose weight this way? Because we can leave the work till the end, or we adjust for it. Yep. And we just we'll take in, say, a corseted bodice a little bit extra just to see if she has lost that weight. That will account for it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I think key is for the brides to know is that we've got their back.
Yeah.
And we're going to make sure that, because it's also, the closer it gets to the wedding, the more adrenalized they get, because this is becoming super real. Like, this is 1 week, 4 weeks, 3 weeks, 2 weeks. It gets closer and closer. And the wedding gown is part of the experience. It's part of the whole story, but it is a big part of it. And especially for the bride who just wants to have that magical moment when they do the first look or walking down the aisle, whatever it may be.
And with that, the bridal gown's a big part of the bridal experience, but brides are also they're talking to vendors, they're talking to their venue, they're doing appointments for getting their rings sorted, they're doing appointments maybe for a partner suit if they haven't got that sorted. They're doing a lot in that final week before their wedding day that, for us to make this as smooth as possible, is helpful for them, because it means that they're not having too many last-minute appointments to have their gown done before their wedding day. And it means that they can sort of just not have to worry about the gown too much. And that's why we try to not stuff too many fittings into that very last couple of weeks, because, one, your body shape won't change, but also you've got a lot going on in those 2 weeks, particularly that last week, that your gown doesn't have to be added into that chaos.
Yeah, that's right. And it's nice that you take that into consideration, and, we do here, because you're right, there's so much going on. Yeah. How many appointments on average afterwards? Because we get that, how many additional appointments, because there is so much going on. 3, 4, 5?
I would say it's around 2 to 3.
2 to 3. Okay.
2 to 3.
All right.
So I think we've gotten to a great place. Me and Emily, who are we're the two alterations experts here, we've gotten to a great place where it is around 2 to 3 appointments to be able to get the gown finessed and perfectly fitted. Obviously, like we said, each gown's unique and each journey's unique. So some people may take less fittings, some people may take more fittings, and
and the key, I think, is it doesn't matter whether it's 4 or 3. It's about organising the perfect fit, getting that perfect fit from the first appointment when they come in and they're unsure, from the pinning to the shoes and the undergarments, the open mind, and making sure that they feel absolutely beautiful. And then, of course, the final frosting, which is if they're wearing a veil or their jewellery, and the whole picture comes together. And it's one of my favourite moments, absolutely, because when we see them, they just look absolutely radiant. And then when there's the wedding day and it's all come together, it just lifts your spirits and lets us know that we're in a really extraordinary industry and quite privileged.
It does, honestly. It sounds, I don't want to sound cheesy in a way, but I just love seeing the photos. Like, we have our slideshow that we do, and seeing all of those photos of the brides that we've fitted in the past, and even some I've helped find the gowns for. It just reminds you that we've actually played such an important part in their day and their life, and like a significant chapter in their life, because they'll have these photos framed in their house, or they'll have this in an album or something, and it's really, it warms your heart to know that you've played such a role in their big day like that.
We're very, very lucky. Very, very lucky. Well, Mark, thank you so much for helping me with this conversation as well, and for anybody who's watching to understand when the gown arrives, the first alterations appointment, what to expect, what to bring. And I'm hoping that it's really given some great insight into the experience at Bluebell Bridal.
Yeah, hopefully we come away knowing it's a nice, relaxed experience. It's a collaborative effort between everyone, and it's a calm experience, I want to say. It's like, granted, there's a lot of high emotions involved in it, but we can still talk through things easily. It's a very open floor to the brides and us, and it's a very collaborative experience between us. It's not necessarily it doesn't have to be this crazy emotional kind of journey, you know what I mean?
That's right, absolutely. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
If you did enjoy today's episode, please do click like and the subscribe button, and we'll see you next time.